What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing tonight? Good to see you guys hanging out.
Week 1, baby. Week 1.
Yeah. Week 1. What'd y'all think of the game last night?
Dude, it was way more exciting than I expected it to be. I was surprised that the Lions won, but also not surprised at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it was there any big takeaways, JC? Like anything that you left the game going, okay, I gotta consider this.
So, I think David Montgomery, we got to kind of talk a little bit about that. He had the snap percentage was a huge difference. But if you look at the yards per carry, 3.1 or 3.2 something. Not I don't think that's great for David Montgomery, especially on all those carries. Yeah, he got the touchdown, but with six carries for Gibbs, he was 6 yards per carry. I'm excited about that. He looked very explosive. People are going to be out there right now on Twitter, and you kind of got to get away from that. Those people kind of talking about, oh, you can go and sell Montgomery really high. I mean, what's really high? What are you going to sell him for? What are you going to get for that? Or you can go buy. I'd be trying to go buy Gibbs a little bit low. People might be a little bit scared about that usage. I don't know if you're going to get that low on him, but I'm not afraid about the usage. I think he's a rookie. They went out and paid to get Montgomery. They're going to use him a little bit. Let Gibbs get be a part of the game, be a part of the NFL, learn him a little bit. But I think that he'll end up being a steal. Everyone was talking about maybe him being drafted too high, but I don't know. I think he could potentially at the end of the year maybe be just as good as Bijan at that price.
Ooh, as good as Bijan. What about you, Josh? Big takeaway. Chiefs versus Lions.
Big takeaway. The Chiefs need to trade for a receiver yesterday. Their receivers they're just trash. Good Lord. As a Giants fan, I was a little disappointed to see Tony get traded away, and now I'm so happy that the Chiefs got him. He's going to make them some real good money as they re-gift him to another team if he does that one more time. That was just awful. Good Lord. They were all bad.
I saw the thing today. Obviously, it was spam, but it was like Kadarius Toney goes on IR with broke hands, but no bones were actually broken.
I'm surprised he didn't break a finger or something. Mahomes is hitting him directly in the palms every time. He was just gloves and everything, just woo. I think he got confused and thought he was playing volleyball. It was just crazy.
He deleted his Twitter too.
Yeah,
people were throwing shade on him, and he deleted his Twitter.
Probably so, man. You got to do that. Mental health, man.
He lost in Kansas City. Dude, that was just – it was bad. And Mahomes did everything he could. He still looked electric. He was running. He was passing. I was a little disappointed that when the passing game failed, they didn't run more. Pacheco looked good. He went out for a minute with some leg cramps. He came right back. Edwards-Helaire looked good. I just felt like they kept going, well, Patrick Mahomes can make it work. Turns out he needs a little bit of support with someone to actually catch the ball.
Well, think about what Tony hurt their chances of winning. He caused the interception pick 6. If that doesn't happen, they could either potentially score again or kick a field goal. That game is completely different.
Well, the Lions had 7 points less without it.
Yeah, perfect setup for Brian Branch. Here you
go. He looked so shocked as he caught it. And then, I will say he was fast. Good Lord. He was straight to the end zone. That's going to be the highlight going forward for his rookie debut in the NFL. Courtesy of Kadarius Toney, MVP.
It did shock me how fast he got to the end zone with that. I was like, Jesus, all right.
I think blown away.
He's still got a high, they got a high percentage share, like target share percentage. He was out running a lot of routes. So that was good for Tony. I actually in a league was able to grab Tony after last night's matchup for a 4th round rookie pick. Yeah, a 4th round rookie pick. And I'm like, man, just the sheer possibility is worth like a 4th round rookie pick. That's a flyer anyways.
Yeah.
I'd rather take a flyer that got like a 20% target share, right? in an actual game. Everybody has those games. They get in their head, and that's just how it goes sometimes.
I've seen really good receivers drop multiple balls in a game before, better ones than Kadarius Toney.
Oh,
So
Jamar Chase.
it's very
Marvin Jones Jr. dropped a ton last night.
yeah, like it happens. I'm definitely not out on Toney after one game.
Nah, he's just the easy one to dog. I mean, you got to pick someone to cause the loss. He's hands down the easiest one to pick. But like the few games I got to watch him play for New York, I mean, when he touched the ball, it was exciting. He was electric, and that's why we were upset to see him traded. It just last night felt like a bitter or like a sweet moment. It was like, okay, good. No, that one didn't cost us. But we'll see. I think he'll come back, and he'll after Andy Reid literally beats him half to death. With his voice, we'll come back next week and he'll do better.
He'll probably just like tape a football to his hands all week, just like I think they had to do that with AD back in the day, Adrian Peterson, when he kept fumbling all the time. They're just taping footballs to his hands. I think it's too early to maybe call Toney the next Kenny Golladay. So I'm not.
The shade.
Those Giants' history with receivers is not great.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think my biggest takeaway from last night, though, is the Chiefs need to pay Chris Jones.
Yeah, they needed that pass rush.
Really need to get that help in there for sure.
Well, I don't know. It didn't really look terrible. I mean, Goff looked like he was under pressure a lot. He definitely looked like he was under pressure a lot.
I know. Add Chris Jones.
I get that. I don't think it was really the defense that really affected that game. I think they played a rough game, not having that potential big player there, interrupter there. But ultimately, you're right. It was the receivers that caused the issue of this game. The running backs didn't do too bad. Mahomes looked great. I mean, having nobody there to catch the ball. Noah Gray did all right. I mean, Bell got a touchdown. He had a couple catches. I mean, the tight ends were getting involved. Justin Watson get involved. I mean, if Justin Watson can turn things around, he could be that guy. Missing Kelsey, obviously, that is tough. Coming back, having your first game right at home without your star player, that's a little bit rough for for Mahomes, right? He's used to that, security, right? That security blanket. If I'm ever in trouble, I can look for Kelsey. You don't have that with Kadarius Toney. You don't have that with your rookies or your young players, like a Sky Moore or Rashee Rice. So having that veteran player there that you can depend on anytime you're in trouble is nice. It's just
Rashee Rice
don't stress out as much. There's not as much weight on your shoulders. So I think that kind of affected him. And like I said, that one play caused that game to sway to the Lions. After that happened, it's like shit went downhill.
Yeah, for sure.
Shift, yeah.
So I'm gonna just kind of intro for you guys that are just tuning in. This is from the forum. Sorry, this side. Oh no, this side. From the forum.
You guys off every time.
2 hands, man.
It took me a minute, I'm mirrored, but yeah, this is from the forum. So all these guys are awesome members of the Fantasy Football Advice Network. You can check it out, fantasyfootballadvice.com. This is a fantasy football only social media platform. People hanging out, people answering questions, asking their questions, and that's kind of what this show's about. On this show, we go into the network, we go into the Fantasy Football Advice Network, and we dive into some of the questions that users have asked over this last week, and we just dissect it. You guys are welcome to come over and join. Make sure you follow each of those guys on Twitter. I'm going to let them introduce themselves before we really get going. So if you will, Josh, you kick it off. Just kind of say who you are, who you represent, or whatever, and so everybody can get to know you a little bit.
My name is Josh. Twitter handle right there-ish. As you can see, I am a bit of a New York Giants fan in my free time. I've got more stuff. It's kind of hard to see my camera. And I'm on here to support all the people who've been playing fantasy football their whole life and still sound like they don't know what they're talking about. I play that role in every league I'm in. So I'm here for the people.
Josh is the people's champion in the chat tonight.
That's right. Y'all need an opinion that has no facts, is based purely on one opinion. I'm your guy.
All right, JC.
What's up, y'all? I'm JC at JC Money Design. That's me. You can tell I'm kind of a fan of everything. So I've been all over the world. My life has been, me traveling. So I kind of grew up in all over. So I'm a Seahawks fan because I lived in Washington. I'm a Gamecocks fan. I was born in South Carolina. Obviously, I'm a Vikings fan. That's where I live now. So I kind of just follow. I mean, I'm more of a fan of my fantasy team, and I got a lot of them. So it kind of sucks because you don't know who's going to be winning. So fantasy football is great. Community stuff like this is great. You know, we're part of the sports affiliation. That's the community that Iggy and I are trying to grow right now. You know, it's all positive vibes. You know, inclusiveness. We're just trying to build something. You know, there's a lot of negativity out there, like, you know, in the Twitterverse, and it sucks to say, but there's a lot of negativity out there in the fantasy football community, or even in some of our leagues, right? And that's kind of something we're trying to get away from. We're trying to, you know, bring positivity back into something. You know, if we wouldn't be playing fantasy football if it wasn't fun, right? This should be fun again. We need to make it fun again. So that's what this community is kind of about. So we love being a part, you know, of the network. Meeting Tyler was absolutely amazing. We got to hang out with you, you know, at the expo. So
Means so much.
yeah, it's fun, man. This is all about having fun. So that's what I create content, because I have fun doing it and I like talking football. So
yeah, for sure. All right, Kyle.
Yeah, man. I'm Kyle. I represent Fantasy Football Advice Network, obviously.
Yes, sir. I like that hat. I'm still waiting on mine.
My Twitter handle's down here, but on Insta and on the network itself, I'm actually Kyle FFAN. But as much as I fell in love with playing fantasy football, I actually love this part of it, giving advice and talking about it more. So, you know, if anybody's got any questions, hit me up on the network. You know, even for this show, post questions in real time on the network, come in our chat, hit us up with some questions. We'll hit those too, and just get all your questions answered for the week, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys are on, please like and subscribe. This is going to be a weekly thing. We're going to be on here weekly. We will answer your questions. I know you got trade questions after last night. I know you got questions going into Sunday's games. And, you know, the fact that it's Friday night, we may even talk a little college football. But that's just because I can't help myself. Just can't help myself. But, you know, put your questions in the chat if you have them. We'll hit those as we kind of go through some of the questions on the Advice Network. And again, like, subscribe. You're going to want to tune in every week. It's going to be a good time. So, with no further ado, let's get started with a doozy. You want to throw that up on the screen? All right. Which sophomore do you think has the biggest breakout year? Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London, Treylon Burks. And I know Christian Watson was left out of this grouping, which probably made some people a little upset. But based on what we have, it looks like the forums got a pretty strong response. What do you guys think? We'll start over there with you, Josh.
I was just posting a very halfway divisive poll on the forum, so why don't you catch me around? Yeah, I was doing some typing there. I'm sure we'll talk about this, but it dawned on me. Let's get the forum's advice on tanking. So,
okay.
Yeah, we'll touch back on that. So let's wrap around to JC.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm gonna say I'm very extremely high on Garrett Wilson, and actually I have a bold prediction this year of him being the number 1 overall wide receiver in fantasy. Ooh. Very, very bold. But we saw what he did last year with 3, you know, very mediocre wide receivers or quarterbacks, right? You know, this guy put up massive points. He had a lot of targets. I think he was the 6th most targeted wide receiver in the NFL as a rookie. 147 targets. Only 83 receptions, and he was low on touchdowns too. You know, only 4 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards as a rookie, right? 1,100 yards. Imagine now you have somebody coming in like Aaron Rodgers, who was very depressed, I think, with the Green Bay, with what Green Bay was doing, not bringing him weapons. You know, him having somebody like Jordy Nelson and having somebody like Devonta Adams. You know, having those receivers and him not having somebody like that in a long time. I think he's been kind of down in the dumps, and I think he went and did all this stuff. You know, he went into his dark, you know, setting away, you know, his little mushroom getaway, I'm going to call it. And, you know, he just, you know, went in there and thought about if he loved football anymore. And I think him getting that offer with the Jets, him being with some young new talent, somebody that's gonna like a Sauce Gardner too is gonna pressure him. This is gonna make Aaron that young Aaron that we loved to hate, right? That one that would go out there and just sling the ball, and we saw that backyard football Aaron, and it just pissed us off because he was good no matter what, right? He was doing stuff that you didn't think what could happen. Now think about him having a weapon like Garrett Wilson, number 17, right? Devonta Adams. I'm telling you, man, something big's going to happen with this kid this year. He was wide receiver 21 or 23 something last year. I think he's going to make a huge jump. Maybe not wide receiver 1. That's just a bold prediction, but I think he is a wide receiver 1.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm with JC on this one. I think Garrett Wilson's the guy. I do love Chris Olave. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to make a big jump too. But I definitely think Garrett Wilson is the guy that make the biggest jump. I don't think I could put him over JJ right now, OJ Jettas, but I think he can be just as good or better than Jamar Chase. Like I love him with Aaron Rodgers. If you watched Hard Knocks at all, you're super excited about this team this year. And that connection's already very, very strong after just a couple of months off season.
Preseason touchdown.
That's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year.
Yeah. I struggle with this question because of my personal bias. And there's a lot of personal bias in this question. I am like probably the number one Treylon Burks hype person. If you can't tell, got the signed jersey on the wall. I'm a Razorbacks fan. And, since D-Hop, there hasn't really been one of those like big-bodied, sure-hand, athletic wide receivers that's really shown out. And like, man, Treylon is that guy. I watched him at Arkansas catch pass after pass in triple coverage. Even like last year, in double coverage, getting knocked out in the end zone, he still comes down with the touchdown. And this year you got D-Hop there to take the double coverage, which he was taking as a rookie to free him up. And my heart just goes, oh, come on, Treylon, you got this. And then there is the reality side though that I have to get when it gets down to brass tacks. Though Treylon to the moon, right? Aaron Rodgers is gonna air the ball out. Derek Carr gonna air the ball out. Like those guys are, despite like their team or their schemes, they're like pass heavy. Like Aaron Rodgers, like put the game in my hands, let me throw it. And so I think those type of things, those big arm guys versus like that play action pass offense that Tannehill runs, is going to get those guys more targets and going to get those guys more touches. And so it's hard for me to, despite personal bias, again, put Treylon Burks up above those. But, on that poll, I voted with my heart. I just couldn't help it. But I do think that probably Olave and Wilson are the better goes. As far as Drake London, it's just a rough world over there in Atlanta. And I'm not sure that Ritter's the answer. In fact, I would say Atlanta is probably one of the larger blind spots this year where nobody really, like, it just looks like they're going to be garbage or somehow they're going to make it work. Whether, take Corell Patterson and make him a running back and somehow he's like top of the board again. You know what I mean? So you never really know. The NFL's full of surprises, and we saw that last night with, Detroit taking down the Chiefs. But yeah, so that was definitely a tough one, a good question. So we'll go over to the next one. So week 1, you want to throw that up, Kyle? Start Jared Goff or Sam Howell?
Well, it's too late for that.
Too late for that.
I think we're a little biased.
Yeah, you can't start Goff, but I'm just curious, obviously Goff had an okay game. It wasn't anything that was absolutely electric, right? But if you were in those shoes prior to yesterday's game and you got Goff and Howell, is there any way that you go with Howell?
No, not even a little bit.
Now what? Washington plays Arizona this week.
A lot of run game, I think.
So here's what I would say. That depends on how much of a risk it team you already have. If you're already hoping for some breakout guys, you're starting second string dudes in your first string spots. I actually say risk it on how he's got a lot to gain. I thought the Chiefs defense was going to be tough for Goff, and they let 21 points go, but as we agreed, 7 of that was all Tony. I think Washington could be sneaky. I don't like that because they're my division, but he's unproven. It's like you said in the last bit, like it's kind of like Desmond Ridder. Like you just don't know, right? You got to see him play some and get out there, but he's got a lot to gain, and that translates on the field sometimes.
I tell you though, over Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, like when you watch him in college and you watch him in the preseason, like as a quarterback, he is more apt to air that thing out. Like I think he's going to be more of like your Brett Favre, let me just chunk it, type of guy. And whereas I don't think Ritter's that sure of his, reads and his passing game. And like, I don't think Sam Howell cares. I think he just wants to throw the ball.
Dude, Ritter's only got one person to throw it to, and his name is Drake London. I mean, that's
there's still Kyle Pitts lovers.
If they'll actually throw
there's still Kyle Pitts lovers out there.
Dude, I feel like there's something we don't know there. They have not given that dude half of a chance to go out and be the tight end he was supposed to be.
He's got a block. That's why.
He just hasn't got to play with Ridder yet either, though. He got hurt before Ridder played last year.
I'll tell you. Okay, y'all got to look at this. So the over/under for Ridder for his pass yards this year is just a little bit over 2,500 passing yards.
Wow,
that's not a lot to go around. And I think I still think that London puts up over 1,000 this year. I think he's still a decent receiver. I don't have a lot of faith in what they're going to use Kyle Pitts as. I'm not saying I don't have faith in his talent because he's very, very talented. I just think that he'll end up being. I mean, they went out and spent fifth overall pick on a running back. Like they're going to and they had a running back last year that was over 1,000 yards as rusher. As a rookie. So
and
now
they got Patterson.
Yeah, I think they end up using him more as a receiver, and I think that Bijan's going to probably go over 1,600 all-purpose yards. Maybe 500 receiving yards. I mean, Bijan's not, everyone thinks he's this big receiver, but he didn't do it a ton in college. Yes, I think that he's probably the best prospect to come out with the most, available talent, spread out. So I think that he does a lot on that team. You have like I said, another running back on that team that could easily put up, 700, 800 yards rushing and still, 200-300 yards receiving because he did receive last year too. You also brought in Mac Hollins, right? They brought in Mac Hollins, who we saw last year on Vegas. He had over 600 receiving yards. Like, so he could step in easily too and get some, but 2,500 passing yards. That's not a lot to go around.
Yeah. Hey Kyle, so we got a question in the chat for you guys. Mark Cleveland says, do I drop Nico Collins for Roschon Johnson?
Okay, I mean, so the best way to take drop questions is kind of to know what your more of your team is built around. Is your team more of a rushing team where you can lose some of those running backs, or is there you can't, or is your team based around wide receivers? If you're going to be losing a wide receiver and not have depth there, I mean, it could even be 3 wide receivers that you have to start, right, and only 2 running backs. Well, now
let's just dive into the talent level. Obviously, people hardly ever post, what their actual, what the full team looks like. But from a talent level, do you see? Yeah. Do you see? I mean, is Nico Collins wide receiver 3? Is he wide receiver 2? Is Roschon dependent on Khalil Herbert staying healthy? Or are we going to see him go to RB2 status? Is he going to be a flex play? Like, let's go ceilings. And which player out of these 2 are you going to take? Hit us with your take, Kyle.
Well, I love Roschon Johnson in Dynasty, especially. And more long term this season, but I definitely think it's going to take an injury for him to get thrust into that position. I think Nico Collins is usable as a possible flex for you right now. I don't see him being much higher out of the gate with a rookie QB. Excuse me, but I do think he's going to be probably the top receiver on that team, at least early in the season.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, it seemed that that him and Tank Dell seemed to get a majority of the looks, and now John Mechie has been ruled out officially this week. So maybe the value's there. Maybe we keep we keep Nico Collins for a week. I like Roshan. I think the backfields, it's one of those, it's like a little bit mixed. You got Roshan, you got Deonta, you got Khalil, and everybody's been successful in some kind of way, and you're not really sure. So I don't know. I would rather wait for week 1, see if Nico Collins has a big week, and then make a move from there. I don't think I'm dropping him right now for Roshan. I mean, you in agreement over there, Josh? Do you have a different take?
I kind of agree with JC. That's a tough question. I think best ball, I go Nico. Redraft, I go Nico. Dynasty, I go Roshan. That's just kind of where I sit. With a rookie quarterback, it is tough to pick who is going to be that guy because a lot of them are, they're younger guys or fairly rocky receivers in the first place. Both of them looked okay the last time they're in the preseason. I mean, Roshan went 32 yards and 1 reception for 11 yards. I mean, that's pretty good. But I mean, as long as Khalil Herbert's there, I don't think he gets a ton of play. So I like versus dislike. I probably like Roshan more. But in most of my leagues, if I was taking one or the other, it would be Nico.
In the chat, Marcy's dropping in to say hi.
Hello, Marcy.
Good evening,
Marcy.
Marcy. Thanks for tuning in. I got to meet Marcy last night on the Thursday night watch party, which you guys got to tune in. Thursday Night Football, sports affiliation, Fantasy Football Advice Network. We're hanging out. We're talking football. We had the legend Greg on there and on his recliner, looking up at his chin the whole time. But man, opinions on everything. He's a good time. So make sure y'all check out that this coming Thursday. Come watch Thursday Night Football with us. We're just hanging out. We'll answer questions and stuff like that during, but it's just a good time. We've decided that if the Thursday night watch party can get to 100 viewers live, we're gonna do a pretty fat giveaway.
Yeah, I'm down with that. And I got some, like I said, I got stuff in my closet. I got a bunch of autograph stuff, and I'm always willing to pull something out of there and do something to give it away. So
oh yeah, for
we can
sure.
get some good interaction and have some fun. And like I said, the watch parties are supposed to be about having fun. It's like hanging out with everyone, being at a bar or whatever, just hanging out watching football, or being at home having a party. And that's what it's supposed to be, just hanging out, talking. And if you got questions, shoot them. We'll answer them.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, Kyle, let's get to the next question on the forum. Fat Squirtle, 12-team PPR. Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, or Jahan Dotson, CJ Stroud, a 24 first, a 25 first, and a 24 third. We see how the vote went in the network, but
Yeah.
what are you guys thinking?
That trade would stress me out.
Yeah. So it's non super flex. It sounds like, I'm just gonna assume that because they didn't say it. Usually somebody would say that. I'm all for trying to trade for Kirk Cousins this year. I'm very when it comes to the Vikings, I'm very, very, very real about my team. I used to talk a lot of smack about Kirk last year, year before that, but I'm a little bit on board with Kirk this year. I think he's a little more confident. With the second year with Kevin O'Connell and the air raid offense, I'm pretty excited about what they can do. So I might be more leaning towards that side. There is a lot of nice stuff in there with the first round picks, but I'm not somebody who likes to trade that far out. I'm not sure what that pick will be worth. I'm not, I'm a huge fan of Jahan Dotson, but I'm not even sure what CJ Stroud's going to turn out to be. He might be the best, rookie QB out of this class, but I mean, we really don't know yet. So I'm a little afraid of that. If it's a win now team, I'm definitely going with Kirk Cousins Jefferson. But if you're trying to rebuild, it's not a terrible trade, but
So-
I'm high on Jahan Dotson, so yeah, I'm good with it.
In Dynasty, if you were to be trading for Jahan Dotson, is he worth a first round pick?
John Dotson? No.
I don't think anybody's going to pay that, but I think the talent's there. If you want my opinion, everyone, you guys were talking about Sam Howell. We got to remember when he was going to come out, was it 2021? He was supposed to be the first overall pick.
Yeah, no, I remember.
That.
He had a rough season that year.
He had a terrible season because he lost a lot of players. Somebody he's still on the team with too. He is on his team now, and he lost Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. Like having those two in the backfield, and then having he was an awesome quarterback. And then next year he just had nobody really. I mean, it's hard to.
I was curious.
I like him, but I don't know if you're going to get it. If people are scared of Terry McLaurin and that injury, which Turf Toe can act up through the year, and everyone's kind of high on Terry, but I think he's just going to sit right where he's at, that between 21, 26. That'll be kind of where he finishes. I think Jahan Dotson can finish a little bit over that this year. We kind of saw in the preseason Sam Howell was targeting him a lot, so.
Yeah. No, I was just asking, you look at JJ and you think, I feel like with JJ, I got to have at least 3 firsts.
Yeah.
I got to have at least 3 firsts in Dynasty minimally to trade away JJ. And so if you find, Jahan Dotson and you find CJ Stroud, if any of those relegate to a first, then you kind of have your 3 firsts, and then it's where your value for Kirk Cousins is. But no, I'm good with that. It's hard to let go of one of the best receivers in the NFL. Like people often will trade away excellence for depth, and I would always push away from that because you only have so many spots you can play, and you need maximum points per spot. So to me, I don't too many unknowns versus a guaranteed young asset. Like you got 8 to 10 years probably of JJ just rocking it, and I just think that's probably worth hanging on versus some flyers. All right, so next question on the forum. Brent Rags, he can play 2 of the 3. Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Michael Thomas. Which 2 are you playing, Josh?
Hold on, put that back up. Just so I can make sure I got that right.
2 of these 3: Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Michael Thomas.
All right, so normally I feel like the easy choice would be not same team players, right? Like I don't like to do skill position from the same team, but I am so dead on Michael Thomas that I think your upside is definitely Scary Terry and Antonio Gibson. I mean, that to me, that's a money pairing all day versus either one of them and Michael Thomas. Now with Derek Carr there, Thomas has got a chance at a rebound, but I think Olave and one of their 7 tight ends, or Taysom, whenever he just pops out from whatever position they have him playing at, has a better chance of scoring points than Michael Thomas. So I'd go Scary Terry and Antonio Gibson all day.
What about you, Kyle?
Well, what's funny about that question is when it was posted the other day, I answered Gibson and Michael Thomas because I thought McLaurin was going to miss this game. And now he's practicing and looking like he's going to play. So I'm actually changing my answer to what same thing as Josh said. You got to play both commanders in this case. I have no shares of Michael Thomas in any league, nor will I ever again. He is dead to me. I'm done with him. I will never play him unless I thought McLaurin was going to miss the game, and now he's not. So definitely go with the Commanders there.
With their risky quarterback situation.
With no quarterback, I would play them over Michael Thomas if they're playing.
Tyler, you want to go over your hot take that we destroyed you over?
Love it.
And,
Oh yeah. You didn't destroy me. Well, sorry. So what was it?
we almost burned you at the stake, dude. It was
Yeah, so last year, so we got some Saints fans in our home league, and they were like, Michael Thomas was come back last year, and I was like, dude, Michael Thomas, like I just downed him. I was like, he's always hurt. He's not gonna play. Like, and I mean, they roasted me. Like they were like, oh, dude, he's the first 4 seasons, top 10 guy. Like he's gonna be back, and then. Sure enough, last year happened with Andy Dalton and a mixture of whoever at the helm and Michael Thomas not on the field. So to this day, I still it was a lashing. Like, you ever like throw a take out there and everybody's like,
yeah, we've all been on social media. We know how that
it was
goes.
all that negativity that Jesse was talking about. It was all us, and it was all about your hot take. I mean, he's just a 29-year-old who can't stay healthy. We were like, screw you. He was hurt one time, and here we are. Still nothing.
Please tell me he went back at the end of the season and just twerked in all their.
Oh, he was super humble about it. Super humble. We all went to him. We were like, hey man, that's on us.
But at this year's draft, and like throughout the end of the year, they were like, you know what? We admit, the whole league admits that you were right. 29-year-old that can't get on the field, and we were wrong.
That may have been the initial impetus for the bet board.
Yeah.
At that level of a hot take.
I will say this, though. This year, with Derek Carr throwing the ball, I think Michael Thomas could approach being relevant again. I think if we can get,
Y'all better listen to him.
Tell him, Jason. Come on, Cal. Sign me up.
Forget Mike Thomas.
Maybe he's the Michael Thomas whisperer.
Look, no one in the world. I mean, we asked everybody. We asked people who didn't know about football. We're like, "What do you think?" And they were like, "He's an idiot." He didn't even watch football, and then he still hasn't played.
It happens.
I mean, good Lord, Damar Hamlin died on the field, and he's back playing before Michael Thomas.
It's
just wild.
That's true.
We'll see how it goes. I'm that was a tough one for me. I actually really struggle with it because I thought that the question was pick one out of the 3. So, with T-Mac having turf toe and what Michael Thomas went through with turf toe, and the fact that with turf toe, I mean, one bad cut and then all of a sudden you're in pain enough that you probably have to come out of the game is enough for me to consider not playing him. It's like that T. Higgins game where he goes in, and he plays like the first series and then you're like, where did he go? And he's out. And so like for me, that risk there, I couldn't. And then it became the question of Michael Thomas or Antonio Gibson. And that was a battle because there is hype says Antonio Gibson's going to be relevant, but the team also quit on him last year and went with Brian Robinson. And then Brian Robinson ran after getting shot, and so like, this is our first year of really seeing probably a true healthy Brian Robinson. And this is our first year seeing where, Rivera's like, oh, we might have a role for Antonio Gibson. And so that's just big question marks. And I don't love big question marks when I'm like betting my game on it, so it was a tough one. And then Michael Thomas is Michael Thomas. But I actually, and that's where, my take kind of was on this. I think Michael Thomas comes out at least for week 1 with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. And I think he catches at least a few big balls, and he's going to have a decent game. So that's my go. You can fry me in a skillet if you want to. That's okay. But it's a good thing that Fantasy Receipts isn't tuned in on this show right now. I might be getting hit real hard later in the season.
Picks like that, they might be. I don't know.
But let's be real. let's be real. We're all on the show. You know, if you're going to be in this arena and you're going to talk about fantasy football, you have to take the riskier takes. Like everybody plays it safe. There's always like the decent, you know, like, hey, this is a guaranteed go. But that's not how you win. Like if you're playing FanDuel DFS, you can't win on like the, you know, oh, these guys have the lowest floor. You know, you got to take the ceiling guys and you got to hit. That's part of the game. And if you can hit, you win. If you can't hit, like, you know, nobody wins championships with the floor.
I totally agree with that. Where I disagree is thinking Michael Thomas is a ceiling guy.
I mean, look, 3 years, he might can be healthy after 3 years of trying to get healthy. But you know, look, I was on the opposite side last year. This year, I have a mild smidgen of hope. So let's just see what happens. In the meantime, let's hit this next question on the board.
Doing the old Brett Favre waffle.
Yeah, this is a good one here. It was pretty close, 5-4 on the takes. 8-team, which, by the way, I hate 8-team. Yeah. I hate 8-teams. But 8-team, 1 quarterback PPR redraft. It's a big money league. So boom shakalaka 13's got a lot riding, okay? Do you no tight end premium, Bijan and Pitts, or Aaron Jones and Andrews?
I'll go first. So, you know, I'm not high on Pitts, but Bijan, talent's there. It's really, really, really there. So right now, you're taking a big swing, a big risky swing. Aaron Jones is somebody that we know is very talented, and when it gets to be winter, he's even more explosive when it gets to be cold. So having that great veteran presence at running back, I don't see really. I mean, AJ Dillon could step in still and be just as good, and they could both be great because we don't really know what that offense is going to be. We know what those two are, right? We know how good they are. They could be the offense. So I like that, and we know what Mark Andrews is. I guess he's got an injury or something going on right now. But who's the number one target on that team?
Andrews.
Mark Andrews. I mean, I think I like that side a little bit more. The upside. The upside is with Bijan, and hopefully you're hoping that Pitts hits this year. But you're really, I mean.
Well, and the thing is too, with he makes sure to point out it's no tight end premium.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about Kelsey, Andrews, guys like that, that's a huge advantage at that tight end when there's no premium. Like, you got to take that. I'm with you. Bijan, I think, is long term, he's a stud, but this year it's a little risky for me. He's being overdrafted, I think, in redraft. He's a top dynasty running back. Don't get me twisted there, but I think he's being a little overdrafted and redraft this year.
Yeah, and the big part is the cost, right? Like if you're drafting, I mean, you got to take Bijan now. I mean, I'm seeing Bijan go RB3 off the board.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, I like his talent set, but you know, RB3 off the board for a rookie, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, if you get Bijan or Tyreek Hill.
I'm taking Hill.
I take Hill. I'm in every league I'm in PPR. I take Hill.
Bijan or Kelsey?
Kelsey.
I don't know. There's a lot of people a little reluctant after last night.
All right, Bijan or Chubb?
Chubb. Sorry. I got him maybe potentially even finishing number 1 this year at his position.
Bijan or Eckler?
Eckler,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, look, I got to be honest. You could probably list the first 5 or 6 RBs in the league over Bijan in my book. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. He's running behind. It's the infamous number 1 run offensive line in the league, and he's talented, no doubt. Tyler, was it Algier, how do you pronounce his name? Was money last year, and he shouldn't have been. I mean, that's, you know, he's like James Robinson for the Falcons. But for me, when it comes to that question, it's are Bijan and Kyle Pitts together going to make more points in a redraft league than Aaron Jones and Mark Andrews? They shouldn't. I mean, I think a lot of that comes down to Mark Andrews' health. If he plays all season, no way. Like, they'll crush those other 2-point totals.
Well, he had, like, this week, he had a little bit of a hamstring or something earlier.
Dude,
he's been practicing every day still, so he's fine. Like,
hey, y'all need to watch your tight ends. Kelsey's out. Kittle's questionable. Waller's questionable. Mark Andrews is questionable. I mean, there's someone's out there shooting 22 rounds in the tight end or tight end elbows or something. I mean, it's wild.
If you're in Dynasty, I'm gonna tell you right now, and as a card collector, these are things that I look at too. I like Daniel Bellinger. If you can go get him, I call him Daniel Swollinger after him this past offseason. Like, he's very talented. Even if Waller is out, you have that veteran presence, and we know how talented Waller is. If he's learning from him, I'm on the Bellinger train, man.
I'm a big Bellinger fan. I was so excited to see him get signed.
Him and Danny, is it Danny McBride?
Yeah,
Danny McBride. Yeah, is it Daniel?
no,
McBride though. Yeah, McBride. I'm collecting his cards too. I think that he's going to be something else too.
Yeah, I like.
I mean, it's Arizona though, but I mean,
not this year, but maybe next year after they get
there's some talented,
the top three
talented players sitting out there at tight end that there's just something waiting for them to just.
I love Jelani Woods if he can get healthy.
Woods is just a big target. 6'8" is a lot of guy.
Hey, so I'm gonna throw a couple comments out here. Got Greg in the chat to the Nico Roshan. He said Nico is the top receiver on the Texans. Roshan is RB3. Nico for the win there. Thanks, Greg, for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. He put a screenshot of us on the network. He's got us on the big screen at his house. That's what we're about. We love the fantasy football community and people like that supporting each other, hanging out. So with that being said, I gotta get one of Greg's questions on the air tonight. So let's throw it up. Who do I start? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Tua.
Oh my gosh!
Bear in mind matchups, please.
Appreciate the softball throw there, Greg.
Let's tell you about this. Is an auction. So we had an auction draft on Wednesday, and it's a 1 quarterback league, and he has all those QBs in that league.
What he got? Like he said, he got what was it? He got Pickett for $1. Like nobody did on Pickett.
Sweet, he'll be out there on the bench for me in a couple weeks. Out there on the waiver. You're gonna have to add somebody into your room.
Okay, JC, you go back with Greg. And I know you're probably playing against him in this league, but I need you to give him your honest take right now, even though you don't want to. Who are you starting?
Let me just look here. I'm not Kenny Pickett. He looked really good in preseason. I don't know if I'm starting him yet. Week 1. Let's see. Josh Allen. They play against the Jets on a Monday night game. I think that could be a very high-scoring game, right? Even though that defenses are going to be pretty.
Jets got a killer pass defense.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean Josh Allen's not going to be running the ball or throwing the ball. I mean, Josh has got a lot of prove again this year. He wants to get that MVP. He wants to be. I mean, he's on the Madden cover. There's a reason for that. Lamar is Andrews going to play? I love Lamar. I'm still questioning his wide receivers. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I do have
the Bengals.
Yeah, I have him back I have him finishing this year at quarterback 11. And over the last 4 years, if you take his average, he's actually averaged out at the quarterback 13. So on average, it says that I'm predicting pretty good. So to me, I'm sorry, I'm still saying it's staying away from Tua. I don't know. He could take one pop and be done for a game. I'm still worried about that. Week 1, I don't know if I'm taking that risk. I think I'm just going to go. I'm going to start my number 1 stud. I think that's Josh Allen. You probably paid the most for that quarterback. I think I'm going to start that. Week 1, I mean, what's the point of taking risks right away? What if those risks don't pay off? You get a loss right away. I think I'm just going to stick with Josh. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than we think, right? Aaron Rodgers is going to come out slinging. Josh is like, all right, wait, we got this, future Hall of Famer I'm playing against in week 1 against the Jets. Right?
Yeah,
I think it's a good choice. I think it's a high scoring game.
Yeah, I probably don't start. It's probably hard for me to start Diggs in this, but I mean, I say that if you're round 1, round 2 guys, like at that point, you kind of just have to start who your guys are. I think out of the matchups, probably Pickett has the easiest matchup. He's got the easiest matchup with the Browns. You got Miami against New England. They're always a sneaky defense. Jets, strong defense for the Bills, and then Lamar, they go up against the Bengals, and Bengals are their secondary could use a little work, but I think they put a little effort into it. But the pass rush is strong, and I love their linebackers. So I think I agree. You kind of have to go with Allen and see. We got some people hitting up the chat. Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. Thank you for tuning in. What's up?
What up?
Evan, what's up? Week 1. Hey, man, let me tell you,
Evan.
Week 1, like yesterday, even for the first game, like I was just like, I couldn't wait. Like I got home, my wife's like,
so geeked up, bro. Like,
my wife's like, I need you to help bathe the kids. And I'm like, babe, I got like 15 minutes. It's week 1.
I can't
Come on. She's like, oh my goodness. Did you
You're not supposed
coffee?
to shake your baby, and I can't help it if I grab him right now.
Yeah. I go to walk the baby and put him down. I'm like, trying to get, no, super psyched, super glad that football's here. Love tuning in with you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in the show. We are pumped. Make sure, again, check out Sports Affiliation. Go like and subscribe to JC's channel. We're going to be with them on Thursday nights for the Thursday night watch parties. We're going to throw another question up here. We're getting close to the end, and this one hit our league hard this week. And this actually comes from one of the guys on the screen. So, Josh, I'm going to let these other guys answer before you get to put your 2 cents. But
all right,
he says, so we kind of had a big deal beef in one of our dynasty leagues today. He's dynasty. The subject is tanking. How do y'all feel about someone intentionally tanking to get a better pick in their next draft in a paid dynasty league? There was kind of 2 takes or 2 ways to go with it, and Josh put it up in the poll. No tanking, integrity matters. Like you should do what's right? Like you should play. It's illegal in the NFL. It shouldn't be legal in our leagues. Or if somebody wants to throw, so this league specifically is $100 buy-in for this league. If somebody wants to throw away $100, it's their right to throw away their $100 and try to get better next year. What do you think, Kyle?
I think there's a happy medium there. Like if you are trying.
How's there happy medium?
Well, no. What
cover?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is tanking where you don't set a lineup versus maybe not setting your optimal lineup. Like, I'm okay with tanking, but don't just not set a lineup. Like, don't bench everybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference there, so that you still have kind of a chance to maybe pull off an upset if the other team just completely shits the bed, which happens. But like, I mean, it's your team. If you want to throw away $100, go for it. I mean,
well, let's get a little bit more context. So you said start somebody. So this guy has Javonte Williams, and he has who was the other running back on his bench, Josh?
Hold on, I'll pull it up for you.
It was Javonte.
He had some dudes that you obviously start.
He had Javonte, and he had somebody else. Josh will get in just a second. And he started both Pacheco and CEH as his running backs.
Yeah, he started both Pacheco and CEH. He started Bryce Young, Sterling Shepard, Dawson Knox, Kyron Williams. He started
Dawson Knox, and he also rosters Dallas Goedert.
On his bench, he has Madison, Javonte, Drake London, Garrett Wilson.
Shepard over Wilson, Shepard over London. You got Knox over Goddard. In his flex, he played Jeremy Ruckert in his flex third string tight end. So is that in line with is that you're just setting a lineup? Like, is that okay?
If he's got people playing, I'm okay with it. I mean, if you want to tank, whatever. My bigger question with his team is why is he like he's not rebuilding? He's got a good sounding team. Like, why is he tanking with that?
So that's
team?
kind of the drama behind it, right? Like so after his lineup sort of went public to the rest of the league members, we had one dude quit immediately, and we've been in it 3 years. So I mean, he went $300. I'm out. And the drama
way, guys, I
behind
got
it
an
is
opening.
kind of I mean, hey, look, by the way, we've got an opening. We're recruiting. His team's good. He's got Burrow. I mean, like I'll read it to you. His team's money. He's got Burrow, Antonio Gibson.
I won't tank. All right. I won't.
T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, Laporta, Rashad White, Cam Akers. Like the dude had a good team. He just said, "Screw it." He's got
That sounds
Russell
like a
Wilson.
lot of my teams. He got a lot of the same guys.
But it's funny because we kind of had three groups in our 10-man league. So I guess 3 and 1 abstain. But we had people that were hardcore no tank. Then we had people who were like, "It's your money, do whatever you want." And then we had the Kyles of the group that were like, "Let's tank, but let's make it classy." Like set your lineup and shoot for the floor. But it's it's like, do you keep the integrity of your league, right? Like, do you care? Like, is it fair to the people who share the division and are going to play that team more and get free wins? How does it skew the end results? And the other side is like, well, let him tank. I mean, depending on his team, 1 year's picks, what are the chances that you get the next Patrick Mahomes or Justin Jefferson? I mean, each year there's always that guy, and then typically
Justin
my
Jefferson
experience, it's
didn't
not
go
always
first
that guy
overall,
who blows up.
Justin
1-1 is a cursed pick. That's like the Madden cover. I stress about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I told him, I said, look, if you want to throw $100 away, I just hope I'm in your division when you tank.
Yeah, he's tanking for Marvin Harrison Jr. That's who he wants. And
But it's just like, I understand if you're like in the bottom half of the league and you want to tank and try to improve, but like he sounds like his lineup is so good. Like I don't know, that's a weird tank to me.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't change my answer. I'm just saying that's a weird tank.
I think what he's doing is, if you look, sorry, JC, he's looking for some context. I think he already has like picks 2 and 3 or something like that. So what he's trying to do is monopolize the entire first round and either bend someone over for a hefty trade rape, sometime between now and that draft, or he's just trying to clean up on the best picks for next year. Either way,
So here's my take on it. I don't like tanking, but there's a way to do it if you want to do that. I mean, then you can. I mean, if you want to trade your team away, right? Trade your players away for picks to rebuild. I'm fine with that, right? Then you're getting rid of. If you're just benching players in spite to try to get that, I don't agree with that because it affects the whole league.
Yeah.
Players. I've been in that situation where I'm right outside of getting into the playoffs, but the person also there's another person who's facing that team who's tanking. And if they get a win, they automatically get in over me. Well, I'm playing against somebody who's playing to get in too, or playing, and it's just that can affect other people either getting into the playoffs and actually who are trying to play, versus somebody who's going to get into the playoffs now because of default, I'm not for that. I think that makes fantasy football not fun, right? Because then now I'm in panic mode all week because I'm like, this guy's gonna get a fucking win, right? There's no point of me even setting my lineup, right? At that point. But if it's dynasty and you make some trades and you trade some players away to maybe get some capital, I'm okay with that, right? That's fine. You're still gonna be. I think that fantasy football is playing your optimal lineup, right? You don't see teams, if they're tanking, you don't really see them take all their people out, right? I mean, they do a little bit, but
I've seen that and it pissed me off.
I just don't think it's right. Fantasy football should be fun, and if we got people causing problems, then it's not fun, right?
And you're right. Like if it starts to take, I would argue, if it starts to take anyone's fun out, you got to start going, look, man. Yeah, we pay money to play, but this isn't a savings account or checks account. It's not just business. We do it because we like football.
And we don't want to make it hard on.
We took turns pulling that guy to the side and going, hey, man, you're being super toxic. So, right now our vote is, do we tank or not? But just as quickly that vote could turn into, do we want you in the league?
Yeah, I feel you on that. And it sucks having to remove anybody from a league because, I mean, it doesn't look great on the league at all. But at the same time, it's like, do you want that negativity in your league to where everybody's like, maybe I want to leave? That's worse.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, it totally depends on the league. Like,
Yeah.
my take is, and I hate trade veto leagues for the same reason. Like,
Agreed.
your team, do what you want, whatever. But that being said, if the entire league is against it, okay, it's gotta change. Or like, it's still a dick move. It's a total dick move. Whether I think you should be able to do what you want with your team or not, it's still a jerk move. But I mean, it really depends on the rest of the league. Like, the rest of the league is like, hey, we don't want him in here, or we don't want to do that. Then that's the way it's got to be.
Should be fun. Fantasy football should be fun.
Yeah. And that's where, I don't think we want people tanking, we're trying to figure that out. But the bigger question is, if you don't want it, how do you actually enforce it? And I mean, I was reading on that today, like, how do you actually enforce a no tank? And I mean, there was lots of things about like doing a lottery for the bottom, or using your overall points possible to decide, or having the winner of the consolation bracket get first pick. There's several different options. I think honestly, the best option was play fantasy football with good people.
Yeah,
Like, you
that's
play
true.
with good people, you play and you play
People
for fun.
change. People change.
Yeah.
So it's hard to judge that. I think a good idea is what you're saying. Have some kind of way to not make somebody right away, midway through the year, think, you know what, I can just go tank now and have that one spot.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we do in my dynasty league. Is we actually have the consolation bracket. You have to win the consolation bracket
Or a
to
lottery.
get the number one pick, and that automatically eliminates tanking. So
How about this? You can add more fun to your league, right? A lottery, like basketball, right? The NBA does a lottery, right? So you can't really tank. You get more selections, like, right? What we did this in one league where we did a lottery, right? So the bottom 6 teams, the one who finished last obviously will have more balls, just like the NBA, right? But we did. I came up with some creative thing and made a lottery machine with ping pong balls and shit, and it would blow around, right? And but somebody in there with 10 balls might have a better chance, but it didn't come out that way. There was actually somebody with the least amount of balls who ended up getting the first pick.
Oh, wow.
So it can happen. I mean, there's ways to do it. Like, you just do drawings or something. So the lottery could be some way, so it's another thing to add fun to your league. You can get everyone on a live video and say, yeah, we're going to do a drawing, for the lottery for the last 6 places. And then after that, obviously your top 6 places would be decided by how they finished at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just say too, like, that sounds super fun for a fantasy football league, but the NBA draft lottery is trash. All right.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Throw that out there.
I agree with that.
It's a little side thing popped
But
in.
it could be fun. But
The Thunder always get shafted in the lottery, and I'm over it. Like,
hey, Minnesota had one of the most spots in the lottery, and they ended up getting screwed. So
yeah. Well, we're Grizz fans over here in Memphis, so we're all in the same bucket, right? Like, it's happening to all of us every year. So, all right, we're gonna hit one more question, and this is also on our site. We do have some DFS, we do have some over unders, and so our guy, JC's homie IDP Iggy, says, who is winning the oldest rivalry in NFL on Sunday? Green Bay is plus 100. Chicago is negative 120. It looks like the votes are pretty even. So, maybe I don't know if you guys have voted yet, but maybe we can help IDP Iggy out. Who you taking? We'll go one by one. We'll start with you, Kyle.
I'm going with Chicago, man. Their team's just better this year. They added some talent. Green Bay is going to struggle. Not only do they have a new start quarterback, but their best receiver's missing this week. So, I got Chicago this week, man.
JC?
This is tough, man. I agree. It's really tough. It's at Soldier Field. But I don't know if Green Bay is that bad. They have a pretty decent defense. I think that's what's going to help them maybe potentially win the game. You're really hoping for Fields to be explosive, which, I mean, I'm very high on Fields this year. I actually have him finishing as my number 5 QB this year, so I'm very high on him with his rushing. I think he changes things around with DJ Moore being there. But week 1, I think that Green Bay is probably more developed as a team and with their coaching and all that, I think that it can be a very close game. But we talk about those running backs, right? We know they're strong. We know it's a strong part of their game. They have a very, very solid kicker. So, I mean, it could come down to the end where they're winning by a field goal. I want to take Chicago here, but I think I'm going to go Green Bay.
Okay, Josh?
See, yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I want to say Chicago. I like Justin Fields. I like what they've done in the offseason, but I'm bought in on Jordan Love. I think he looked good in the preseason, and he's never got his shot. But you can't tell me the dude who sat behind Aaron Rodgers for the last 5 years, is nobody. They kept him around the entire time, not just to beef up the practice squad. And I like the receivers, and I love Aaron Jones. I love A.J. Dillon. I'm taking Green Bay.
Would it be
All right,
considered
well-
a hot take to say I think Green Bay finishes last in that division this year?
It's not really a hot take, no, but it's pretty tough. It's
I
tough.
don't think they're going to be very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle, and I'm gonna split the vote here. I'm gonna make it difficult for the viewers tonight.
Well, we're going to not help IDP Iggy at all.
Yeah. We're not gonna help IDP Iggy. We're actually gonna make it more difficult. I like Chicago this year a lot. I think that Justin Fields is gonna surprise us a little bit and throw the ball a bit better, and he's got some weapons. Like, he hasn't had a receiver like DJ Moore, and he started really connecting with Cole Kmet towards the end of the year. The running back group is strong. Like, I just think that they have what it takes, to win games, and it may be one of the first years that everybody's saying actually kind of watch out for the Bears. I do hate that they sent Roquan away. That hurt. But they've got some talent. That's the part that I worry about, though, is I do worry about the defensive side of the ball. I just don't know that Green Bay is ready to attack where Chicago is weak, and that's in the passing game. So we'll see. It really was. If it was in Lambeau, I would go Green Bay.
Yeah,
But since it's Soldier, I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears on that one. So yeah, hey, everybody that's tuned in right now, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Catch this show every week, Friday nights. We're going to be here. We're going to be diving through your questions. And even more so, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Post your questions. If you have thoughts, if you're wondering on Saturday who you need to start on Sunday, or if you're worried on Sunday morning who to start, we're going to be there. And we're going to be answering those questions. And we're going to be trying to help you win your leagues. And so go over to fantasyfootballadvice.com. Click the sign up button, and you're in. It's free to sign up. You pay the subscription if you want to upgrade, if you want to get some extra tools, but you just come hang out with us. It's about the fantasy football community, and we are all about helping each other. As you see, great to have sports affiliation, great to have Kyle, great to have Jay Brad up there with the Vanilla Vic jersey in the back. We're here for a good time. Again, for everybody, just go around real quick. Tell the audience, your name, where to follow you, where to find your work. If you do anything outside of Fantasy Football Advice Network, which, by the way, in the network, you can subscribe to these guys' brands and you can subscribe to these guys' contents to where you're getting their stuff directly to you. It's easy. We've provided that space, and we're super excited about it. So go ahead, let them know, again, where to find you, where to follow you. Go ahead, Josh.
Mine's easy. I don't have content yet, although if I was going to put something, it would just be called The Single Take. Again, I'm out here for the people who part-time and full-timing. But I'm Bradley Twin 01 on Twitter, Josh Bradley on everything else. You can find me everywhere. So pretty excited.
Are you a twin?
I am indeed. Although I could
love
not.
it.
I'm telling you, I spent years trying to convince him to be Bradley Twin 02. He said he couldn't. So ironically, he didn't change it that much. His email is clone.
If he
Oh,
wants to
that's
be,
good
he could
too.
be
Yeah.
Bradley Twin 0.5 just to get like ahead of you if you want.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Hey, maybe next week we can get them both on. Maybe we can have Bradley Twin 01 and
I'm still
Clone
not
on.
convinced this twin exists. I've never
Yeah,
seen
Kyle's never seen
Bradley
us at the
with
same
my
time.
or
This is like
Oh,
Zach.
he's there.
It's
I've
like
never
Batman and
seen
Bruce
Zach
Wayne, man.
in
They're
my
never in the
life.
same room.
You
That's
can
so
go
good.
catch him on the 3-Man Bunk Bed podcast. Search 3-Man Bunk Bed on YouTube. Go give him a like and subscribe.
The camera's
He's on there too. They're not on at the same time.
They're never on the screen together.
They're
It's
never-
a
look,
trick.
There's no proof here in this group that that's not me on that podcast.
Everybody
I'm not
might be seeing
convinced.
double.
I'm not
All right,
convinced
JC,
I
what about
actually
you? Where can we find your stuff? Where can we tune in with your community?
All right, I'm JC Money. You can find me on Twitter at JC Money Design. You can find our community at the Sports Affiliate on Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube at the Sports Affiliation. And we have a website, thesportsaffiliation.com. We have a lot of articles up there. Iggy's been writing one almost every single day, mano a mano. It was a linebacker and a running back. And I think this next month he's going to be doing, 30 Hispanic fantasy football content creators like in the community. So he's going to be doing one every single day, which is pretty cool. We got, more people joining up every day. This community that we have is, like I said, it's basically just, a fun, very inclusive, very positive environment. And like I said, we're an affiliation, right? So everybody in this community comes together and we make this one spot. So just like kind of what y'all are doing, but just having fun with it, right? This is all
Yeah.
about having fun and being positive. Like, we want to make a positive community. We got to get away from that negativity and hate. Positive vibes only. Put positive vibes into the universe. Good things will come to you, I promise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
no toxicity.
Kyle?
Yeah, so I'm Kyle. I'm with the network itself. I'm Kyle Dozier on Twitter, and then Kyle FFAN on Insta and FFAN Network here. But just a quick weekly rundown of where you can find me. Monday nights after Monday Night Football, me and my brother Corey will be on answering questions. Tuesday nights we do the same thing. Wednesday, Queen's Ransom with wish lists, and Amber, they're going to do a show for that. Thursdays after their watch parties, we will also have a show then like we did last night, answering more questions. Fridays is this, and then Sunday morning at 11:30 Eastern for an hour and a half leading up to kickoff will be Spilled Coffee, also with wish list, answering questions and last minute advice. So you can catch me on everything except the Queen's Ransom show.
God bless
And I
you.
won't be on this one.
I know, right?
I won't be on this one every week. This was
Kyle's busy.
Yeah, God bless you.
Man, our
God
next
bless you.
our next project is going to have to be the Fantasy Football Network channel, so you can get all this premium programming here.
yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
and all of those shows that I just listed too can be found on our YouTube channel and are absolutely free. We don't put ours, on our brand or behind a paywall or nothing like that. So you can watch all those for free. If anybody watching this has a brand and needs a talking head for a show, hit me up.
Yeah.
I'm
God
pretty
bless
available.
y'all for doing a Sunday show, because I remember doing that last year, and with the amount of teams that I had to set my own lineups.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun, dude. I love that Sunday show.
Ooh, yeah, I know it's fun. It's just gonna be by week 10, 11. Woo!
Yeah.
So Marcy says sports affiliation is a great community. Marcy, we agree, and we're glad that sports affiliation is part of the Fantasy Football Advice Network.
Absolutely.
Glad that you are becoming a part of the Fantasy Football Advice Network. She won a membership last night at the watch party. So super glad that you're going to be coming and hanging out some. Throw your questions in the chat. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Tune in next week, same time, 9:00 Central. We're going to be answering your questions. Go join the Fantasy Football Advice Forum at fantasyfootballadvice.com and the Fantasy Football Advice Network, and we are going to be hanging out all week. You can follow us at FF Advice Network on Twitter, Instagram, everything under the sun. That's it. If you want to find me individually, at Tyler Bradley CP. And again, thank you guys for being awesome. Thanks for being a part of the fantasy football community. Keep giving, keep killing it, and tune in with us next week, 9 o'clock Central. Peace.
Peace.